everybody, it's Allie, and welcome to our Y&R chat for Sunday, March 13th. Well, with the results of the Newman arbitration this week, all week it's been talk of winners and losers and who won and who lost, and really, even the winners are losers in this situation. I mean, Victoria and Nick and Abby, they managed to successfully wring $1.5 billion out of Victor's pockets. 500 million each. Wrap your brain around that. Hey, they managed to win all that money. Congratulations. But guess what? They lost their father in the process. And I just can't help wondering, was it worth it? I would love to know. Even, maybe a month down the road, I would love to just check in with Abby and Nick and Victoria and find out how they would answer that question. Was it worth it? Was getting the money worth it? Was gaining your independence worth losing your father? Because granted, my dad is not Victor Newman in any way. Well, in some ways. but not in those terrible ways. But I have to tell you, I wouldn't trade $500 million or the full $1.5 billion for even a moment of his happiness. There's just no way. And Victor, he's not a perfect person. He's not a perfect father. There's no arguing that. I'm not trying to argue that, but I feel like we have to remember that Victor had no father to serve as an example for him. He had no fatherly figure to help him learn how to treat other people. And as much of a jerk as Victor is, I just feel like over the years he has given so much to his family in the best ways that he knows how. And the story that Victoria told to Billy, she's lying on the couch in the wake of all of this trial being over, and she's telling Billy a story about how when she was young, Victor wanted to teach her how to ride a horse. And so Victor puts her on top of the horse, and she's holding the reins thinking that she is in control. But really, Victor knows what he's doing the entire time. He's got the horse under the control the entire time. And I just felt like that story that she told encompassed the entire situation so entirely. It really did. Victor always wanted to teach his children how to ride, but he was always holding the reins, even when they thought that they were in control. And so I really appreciated that. And I feel bad for Victor. I can't help feeling bad for Victor. This week he lost on many levels, because there's the financial part of it, which is the most obvious part of it, but then there is the personal loss, the loss of his family, and not only that, but he totally lost out on that deal with Adam. Victor managed to end up holding up his part of the bargain. He went to the DA and spoke on Sharon's behalf to try to get the charges against her dropped, but Adam got away without doing his part. In fact, we just realized at the end of Friday's show that he's somewhere still trying to track down the truth about Sharon's and about Sky's death. He's still on that case, but Victor is still stuck at home holding the bag. I'm not saying that Victor's blameless here, but okay, Victor made his own bed. I'm going to say that outright. If he would have treated his children with even a little bit of respect, that's all they ever really wanted was respect. If he could have done that from the beginning, everything would have been different. He literally could have tampered with their trust funds until the cows came home, and at the end of the day, if he had just shown them the least little bit of consideration, everything would be different. He could have tampered with those funds and they probably wouldn't have cared. Plus, he would still have his money at the end of all this. And the children would still have a stake in their family company. That's the saddest thing of all. I can't help feeling empathy for that. I can't help but feel that loss, because Newman represents so much more. The Newman Enterprises represent so much more. It's the core of this family, and it has been for so many years. And I can't help feeling empathy for that, and empathy for Victor, because all he ever wanted was to have his children never have to want for the things that he had to want for. He wanted to give his children all of these things that he never had and that he never got from his own father. And at his core, Victor knows that that's not money. And I think hopefully everybody knows that it's not money. That's not going to fill that void. And because Newman Enterprises was worth more than money, and it would have been worth a lot more money in the long run if they wouldn't, have caused all of this crap. Because if Newman goes down, this whole legacy is dead. Not to mention all of the dividends that they're going to be getting. There's just no way around that. The children have lost in the long run financially, I think, and in the long run because they've lost a piece of their family history. Their children's children will never know this part of their legacy. If Newman goes down, that legacy is dead. Everything that Victor built with his bare hands, as he has told us so many times lately, it's just on the verge of being destroyed. And how great was Peter Bergman's Victor Newman impression this week. Jack's sitting at the Abbott house with Billy this week, and he just does this impression of Victor. He's done it a couple of times, but boy, this week it was dead on. I totally enjoyed it. I kind of wonder what Eric Braeden thinks about that. I'm sure he's seen Peter do that impression. I'm curious to know what he thinks about it. It was dead on, if you ask me. So now, the future of Newman is completely foggy. I'm upset about it. I don't know what's going to happen next. There's no way that business can go on as usual. Everything has changed, and I can't see Victor just handing over Beauty of Nature or the cash equivalent without one hell of a fight anyway. It's just not going to happen. I frankly would not be surprised if Victor just decided to tank the entire company. Just let the whole thing go down, just so that the kids won't get their hands on it. And I think that because before the ruling, I think it was, Victor said that to Michael. He said, I'd rather burn this company to the ground than to see my spoiled brat children get their hands on it. That was powerful. That was intense. Who could even blame him if he decided to burn the entire thing to the ground? His ungrateful children were sitting there popping the cork on their champagne in victory while their family goes down in flames. And that was too much. I did not appreciate that. I thought that was just so classless. Sitting there drinking champagne, and then total slap in the face, I think, that each of the children went to Victor to say happy birthday as though nothing had happened. I suppose you could see it as a gesture on their part, but for me it just felt totally empty and totally rude. I'm just very disappointed in the Newman kids. They're just all so selfish and so ungrateful, and Eric Braeden was smashing this week. He looked wrecked. His eyes were bloodshot in those scenes after he lost. I believed it. It was sad. It was really, really sad. But to balance that out, we had some fun this week. We got to see some really good flashbacks. I always enjoy getting to see flashbacks, and this week it was all flashbacks to various business dealings. Victoria and Nick and Victor, and added bonus, one of the best business scene moments. Who could forget? The infamous Jack throws his chair out of the window. You want this chair? That was awesome. I mean, that moment was like the height of drama and business drama. I love seeing flashbacks in general, but I loved seeing flashbacks of all of these really compelling business storylines that we've had in the past, and I'm hoping that this is somehow foreshadowing some great, innovative, new spin on these same type of storylines to come. I'm really hoping that that's what's in store for us, because, oh my gosh, you guys, Victor Newman may be down, but I can tell you right now, he is not out. No one beats Victor Newman. I mean, the man is a legend. He's a one-man empire, and just wait till the Empire Strikes Back. Nikki looks great right now, doesn't she? She just has been stunning this week. And frankly, Nikki is the only one in the Newman family lately who has any sense about her. She's the only one. She walked in and saw her kids drinking champagne after successfully stealing money from Daddy's wallet. It was sickening, and she flat out told them, "I'm ashamed of you." And it was powerful. It was a powerful moment. And I completely agree. Nikki, I'm with you, girl. And Nikki's the only one who remembers Victor's birthday. Can you believe it? Oh, but don't worry. Don't even worry, because she gave him a present, all right. Nikki's birthday present to Victor was making love in a haystack. She still had a piece of hay under her coat the next day. She's looking at it wistfully. Hooray for stable sex. I thought it was pretty fun. And hooray for Victor and Nikki. I know you guys will probably kill me. You're probably all over the Victor and Nikki thing, but I'm still sitting here with a little bit of hope. Holding out hope. It's ridiculous. I'm almost like mad at myself. But I was glad to see them together. I thought it was a really good hay sex scene, you know, because after I lose $1.5 billion, the only thing I can think of is getting it on. I identify with Victor so much in that way. It was wonderful. Of course, poor Nikki had to go home to Deacon afterwards. It was poor her. It was just very sad. It was like, Victor, Deacon, Victor, or Deacon, Victor, Deacon, Victor, Deacon. You could almost like see the wheels spinning in her head, you know, what should I do? But unfortunately, Nikki just seems to have this sense of obligation to Deacon. Like, he helped her back up when she had fallen off of the wagon, so she felt like she owed it to him to return the favor, although I think sleeping with him and moving in with him is going above and beyond. But anyway, that's how she felt. So even though she had this wonderful lovemaking session with Victor, and they both obviously had a good time, she decides to go back to Victor and tell him that it can never happen again. It was a moment in time, and it can never happen again. I'm telling you right now, you guys, Victor and Nikki sitting on the couch, having this day after just had sex conversation. I'm telling you guys, Victor wanted to get back together. You could see it in his face. He enjoyed it. He realized that he loved and missed Nikki, and he wanted to get back together. If Nikki would have taken him back, I completely believe that Victor would have gone for it then and there, because it wasn't until Nikki started giving him the old "we should just be friends" vibe. It wasn't until that point that Victor started kind of going along with it, sort of playing along with it, and just kind of saying that. I was disappointed. I was very disappointed, I can't lie. I feel like, I don't know, Victor and Nikki, they said to each other, I love you, and I always will love you, and we have a history, and we have children, but we just aren't good for each other. It was very mature. It was a very mature conversation. But it revealed so much about me, so much about my own heart and what I want, because I always act like I'm over Victor and Nikki, and then the second they give us a little bit of Victor and Nikki, I'm roped right back into the whole thing. I was a sucker for Victor and Nikki. I want it to work out, and I just can't help myself. I feel bad for anybody that stands in the way of Victor and Nikki. Whoever they're dating at the time when they're apart, I just feel sorry for them because it just can't compare. There's just no comparison. Deacon was so close to getting Maggie off his back this week. He came up with this great plan to try to make it look like he was busting her out of jail, but it was all a setup. And it was a really good twist, by the way, because I actually thought Deacon was just going to try to get her out of jail, to get her off his back. But he actually came up with a pretty good plan, although it backfired. Maggie just thinks she's going to waltz right out the front door of the jail. And whammo, as soon as she does, busted. It was good. And at this point, she figures, hey, if I'm gonna go down, I'm taking Deacon down with me. I got nothing else to lose. So, I don't know. She calls Nikki. And she tells her everything, basically. She plays this coy little cat and mouse game with her for a little while, but she eventually tells Nikki everything. Deacon arrives just in time to see this whole thing go down, and I felt bad for him. Again, I'm a sucker. I did feel bad for Deacon, because he got what he deserved, but I really do think that Deacon loves Nikki in his own sick and twisted, weird little way, and I did feel bad for him, and Maggie's revealing the truth, and Nikki's just looking to him like, tell me that this is not true. And he just looks at her, and he cannot lie. He can't lie to her face about it. So he doesn't even really say much other than that, I really love you, it's true. But he basically confirms, in not saying anything, he just confirmed that he was the one that helped Maggie, why do I keep saying Maggie? Maggie, he helped her to gaslight Nikki. So Nikki discovers the truth, and really, it was such a good moment, because in that moment, Nikki realizes that all of that obligation that she feels towards Deacon for helping her get back on the wagon, all of that obligation is just wiped away in one moment when she realizes that he's the one that helped push her off the wagon in the first place. So that's all gone. And my friends, Nikki busted out of that jail room so fast. Like lightning. She barely caught her breath from learning out this devastating news, and she was dialing that phone to try to get a hold of Victor. Could you even believe it? It was so quick, and after finding out this information, Nikki's first instinct was Victor. I just thought that was so powerful, and it just says so much. Damn, because at the very moment that Nikki realizes that Deacon's a creep, Victor's in Vegas marrying Diane. What is Diane thinking? Really? What is Diane thinking? I know what Victor's thinking. Victor's thinking that he wants a brand new Build-A-Bear family. But what's in it for Diane? I can appreciate that she's trying to secure a future for her son, but Kyle is an Abbott, okay? Kyle will always have the security of the Abbott fortune. So I don't buy for a minute that she's marrying Victor just for that. I mean, that doesn't even make sense. And by the way, how ironic was it that Victor set up a trust fund for Kyle as a provision of the prenup? How ironic. So, what is it, you guys? What is it that's in it for Diane? Because at this point, it can't be money. Victor just lost $1.5 billion. He ain't worth what he used to be worth. And Victor made her sign a prenup. How romantic. Every girl's dream. A proposal, a wedding, and a prenup, all within the span of a few hours. Which means she only gets $250,000 per year that she's married to Victor. Those were the terms of the contract. So being Victor Newman's wife pays $250,000 a year, which for you and me probably seems like a lot of money, but in a world where billion-dollar settlements are happening, it's a drop in the bucket. $250,000 a year? It's like having another job. Is that what it is for Diane? Is it all about money? I'm not able to put my finger on it. So, anyway, Diane made Victor this birthday dinner this week. She made the dessert from scratch. It was a nice looking dessert. Victor walks right in, takes one look at it, tips over the table because he's angry about the settlement. Throws over the table like a child who lost at a game. Just unbelievably rude, unbelievably egotistical. Diane didn't do anything to him, and he didn't even attempt to communicate what the problem was. He just walked right in. She's like, I made a birthday dinner for you. And he's like, throws over the table. It was unconscionable. All of the empathy that I have for Victor, it's hard. Because when he does something like that, it's how can you even love him? He's hard to love. But so he did that to Diane. And then Diane walks in on him in the hay with Nikki. She saw it with her own two eyes. And then later, the next day, Nikki comes over to see Victor to talk about it. She walks in and Victor is like, can we have a moment? Victor sends Diane out of the room so that he can talk to Nikki. How much is she willing to take? I mean, Diane has put up with a lot from Victor this week. Those are like 3 huge things that he did her wrong this week. And it was just really, truly unbelievable. As Victor's supposed partner, lover, friend, she didn't even know about the settlement, the details of the settlement, until the next day. That's another thing that he did to her. You know, he treats her like she's just a side note. She didn't even know, that huge news about the settlement, she didn't even know it until the next day when Michael told her, and the second that Michael told her, what does she do? Run over to see if Victor's okay? No. She runs over to Nick's house to talk to him about it. What's going on here? Diane, what's going on? I want to like her. I want to be pulling for her, but I'm having a hard time understanding her decisions. She is marrying Victor, but she clearly wants Nick. You know, after she goes to Nick and she's searching. Just still searching for a glimpse that maybe Nick still cares about her. And he's not giving it to her. It's quite sad. For crying out loud! Diane is on her way out the door to go marry Victor. Nick shows up, and she's like, come on in, stay a while. I'm not in any hurry, not in any rush. It's not like I was going out to get married or anything. Have a seat, Nick. It was very that. And in that moment, there was just that moment of desperation on her part. And Nick and she are just having this conversation, and she reaches out and she touches his hand. And in that moment, everything could have changed. If she would have sensed even a little bit of interest on Nick's part. There's no way she would have gotten on that plane. There's just no way. And it's ridiculous. I mean, I would rather have nothing than settle for a relationship where I feel no passion. I mean, she gets on board Victor's plane for a totally unromantic, sterile, quickie wedding. I mean, Victor, he pretend married Maggie on that plane just a few months ago. How many plane weddings can one man have in a year? How about Victor at least doing something somewhat original? It was just, in so many ways, that was completely fitting for their relationship. Unimaginative, uninteresting, no family, no fun, nothing. It was just a sterile wedding on a plane. Oh my goodness. Plus, oh my gosh, this is the best part, you guys. Oh my gosh. Who says this? In his vows, Victor says to Diane, I promise. No, it went like this. I, Victor Newman, take you, Diane Jenkins, to be my wife. And I promise to not pretend to just be listening when you speak. That's what he said. I promise not to just pretend that I'm listening when you speak. That was his vow to her. That sums it all up right there. The wedding on the plane, that horrible vow, sums it all up. Frankly, I think that they are both a means to an end for each other, and that's it. So it is what it is. I feel like on our part, it's time just to take bets. So let's do it. Let's place our bets right now. Victor and Diane's marriage, how long will it last? Leave me a comment, let me know. I want your prediction. How long will this ill-fated marriage last? Because I'm telling you right now, my money's on 6 months. So for almost the entire length of this settlement, Victoria has been working behind Abby and Nick's back with the intent of bargaining with Victor to get control of beauty of nature at the end of all of this. Victoria, did you even stop and think that maybe your siblings would not want to be a part of that? I mean, really? I don't think that Nick is passionate about business. I don't think Nick has ever been passionate about business. Nick is passionate about passion. Nick loves love and he loves to get laid. He likes pretty ladies and that is his life. I don't think he cares even one little bit about beauty of nature. Frankly, I think working at Newman has just always been something that he's just done, kind of probably to please Victor. And Abby just wants cash. At the end of the day, Abby wants a check in her bank account so that she can do whatever it is that she wants. And frankly, she could have had that settlement check months ago when Victor offered it to her. So it's ridiculous. I don't even understand it. If beauty of nature is so important to Victoria and it's performing so well, then why does she even need Tucker? Why does she need Tucker? I don't understand. I mean, she could take the money and buy it for herself and own it outright. Wouldn't you rather own a company outright and be able to have complete control over it rather than merge it with another company? And then she'd have to partner with Tucker and Jack. Where's the benefit in that? What's the draw? What's the appeal? She could have it all and she's wanting to combine it. It doesn't make sense. Can't help but feel that this is a very bad decision on Victoria's part. Frankly, plus the obvious, going into business with Tucker is just like going into business with Victor. What's the difference? Really, truly, when you get down to it, what's the difference? Although I have to say, I have a newfound respect for Tucker this week. I really like Tucker. He was in the doghouse with Ashley at the beginning of the week for having had a hand in getting Abby to file the lawsuit in the first place, even though I personally don't think that he is nearly as guilty as Jack was in that whole thing. But Tucker stood to lose his entire relationship with Ashley, and something that meant a lot to him. And even though those were the stakes, I really liked how he handled it. He just looked at Ashley in no uncertain terms and just said, look, this is what I do. This is what I'm going to continue to do. This is who I am, and if you can accept it, and if you can go along for the ride, I would like you to. But I understand if you can't, because no one else ever really has. And I really, really appreciated that straightforwardness from him. And also, I can't help but identify because, honestly, that's how I conduct my relationships. To be completely honest with you, with most people, I am like, this is me. This is what it is. If you can identify with me, if you can hang out next to me, if you can be cool next to me and be an awesome partner, be an awesome friend, then that's great. But if not, better luck next time. You know, I appreciated that from him. But what makes Tucker different from Victor, and this is a very key point, Tucker didn't promise to change. He didn't have some heartfelt moment where he says everything is gonna be different, only to turn around 6 months later and everything else is right back to the same. That's how Tucker is different. That's how Tucker is not Victor. He is who he is. Unapologetically. Good, bad, but honest. I like that about him. I really like that about him. Just the way he handled this relationship with Ashley, this conflict with Ashley, just totally gave him points in my book. I like him even more than I already did, and I already liked him a lot. And by the way, Eileen Davidson looks smashing in teal. She really does. She looked good in that teal this week. And Ashley and Tucker, I'm telling you, they are like becoming my favorite couple on the show. Loving them. They are second only to my beloved Michael and Lauren. Well, with all of the talk of the Newman arbitration, we can't forget to mention the man who swayed the outcome. Neil threw a major wrench into Victor's plans this week. Before Neil filed his brief, those three brats were set to lose. They were going to lose everything. And then Neil comes in. He says his piece. He told the judge that Adam is a liar. And he was. And I think that, honestly, that changed the entire outcome of the court case. And I really feel like we should have focused in more on this aspect of it because, and I wish it had been just drawn out a little bit longer because I feel like it was harder for Neil to go against Victor than we even saw. You know, I feel like there was way more to that because Neil was Victor's right-hand man for years. Honestly, if Victor would have just set up a trust fund for Neil instead of those three brats, we wouldn't even be in this situation right now. Neil was the only one who deserved to inherit the company. I've been saying that for years. Neil was a consistent performer. He did so much for that company. By the way, something that I didn't mention before in my defense of Victor, and I wanted to, is that I didn't appreciate how Victor tried to minimize the impact that Nick and Victoria had on the company. He tried to make it seem like they were just employees and that they didn't do anything to further the company, and I didn't think that was right. I thought that was really crappy. It was like he was cutting them down in a very personal way, and I didn't appreciate that. But, for crying out loud, Neil has done more to further that company than either of the children have. Neil was the one at the home. He was the one that was always consistent, and he was there. And I just feel like Victor was like a father to Neil. And to this day, I feel like Victor's approval is still important to Neil. No matter what he says or no matter what's going on. And I just feel like it should have been focused in on that a little bit more. I would have liked to explore Neil's decision a little bit more. Although, I don't know. I wish that we could see that's the thing. I wish we could see more of Neil in these business storylines, because I want to know how Neil has developed in his skills since leaving Newman and in going on to Chancellor. And we really just don't even see that much. I don't even get a sense of Chancellor anymore. I get a sense of Tucker, being there. But I want to see Neil at the helm, and I'm just not getting that. But we're getting better. We're getting way better at seeing more of the Winters and more Neil specifically, because if I can't see Neil in the boardroom, at least I can see him in the bedroom. And I do appreciate that. So, Leslie, the lawyer, and Neil this week. I didn't see that coming. I didn't know that was coming at all. Wow. I like Leslie a lot. Tell you what, I like her hair. I like how she dresses. And I like how she talks. And I was very happy to see that. Although personally, I think that Leslie and Malcolm would be a way better pair. Don't you think? Because, I think it's Leslie and Malcolm and Sophia and Neil, because Sophia and Neil just have similar personalities. They just kind of work together. They're a little bit softer, whereas Leslie and Malcolm are more raw. You can tell there's more passion there. I mean, we all know that Malcolm is a raw character. Leslie was practically devouring Neil. You could tell she has needs. She's a woman. And by the way, I saw some striking resemblance between her and Drew this week that I've never really seen before. Maybe it was because she was with Neil, but anyway, I thought it was very interesting, and I do like Leslie, although I felt kind of bad for her. I mean, she's practically ripping Neil's clothes off, and he's like, maybe we should get to know each other better. I felt a little bad for her because, I mean, really, there's nothing worse than being all into it and just wanting to just get primal and then realizing that the other person isn't. And not to mention, I mean, come on, Neil was the one that suggested, why don't we get a room service? He's the one that started that in the first place. And then he kind of turns it down. Oh my. Drama. It's good though. It's really good. I'm happy to see more Neil, and now that the Newman case is over, I really do hope that Leslie can stick around and get caught up in more drama. Okay, that's the end for me. Congratulations if you made it all the way to the end of this. If you made it all the way to the end of this, leave me a special comment. Leave me a special comment that says, I don't know, Allie is a dork? Something. Leave me a special comment. Let me know if you were able to make it all the way to the end. I'm full. I'm full of chicken. I just ate a lot of chicken before I did this, so I'm full of chicken. That's the word! If you made it all the way to the end of this video, leave me a comment that says full of chicken. That way I'll know. I'll know who the loyal people are. Okay, alright, that's it. Enough. I thought this was a really good week of show. I had a lot to say. I was very into it all week, and I'm looking forward to being into it again next week and coming back to you next Sunday with an all new vlog. So, I love you guys. Leave me a comment. Let me know your thoughts, and I'll be reading and responding, and I'll see you next week. Okay, guys. Bye.